to thank you all for joining me for this edition of A Look Back. I'm Mike, and I am so glad to be with you fine people this evening. I wasn't expecting to be here. Actually, was be my second time in this room today. Earlier today, we had our family reunion right here, and it was a great time to be around the family, share some memories, enjoy some good food and friendship and fellowship with the family. But as I was leaving the reunion, I got some news that AEW Tony Khan had parted company with CM Punk. Yes, CM Punk now fired by AEW. Of course, the fallout from that being at AEW's All-In pay-per-view from the Wembley Stadium in London, England, where CM Punk and Jungle Boy Jack Perry had an altercation resulting in a spot in the match between Perry and Hook, where Perry attempted to put Hook through a car window. Of course, Perry ended up going through the car window. Fightful Select reported Sunday that backstage at AEW All-In, CM Punk and Jack Perry were involved in an altercation shortly before Punk's match with Samoa Joe. Perry said on camera during his 0-hour pre-show match Sunday, "It's real glass, cry me a river," in reference to an alleged conflict with Punk earlier this summer, and it ignited another incident between the two. Apparently, according to Brian Alvarez, the belief within AEW is that Punk and Jack are both suspended pending their results of the investigation, which would mean neither will work All Out. That was on August 28, 2023. Wrestling Junkie reported back on August 15, 2023, since his return to AEW in June, CM Punk's alleged conflicts at AEW tapings have been as frequent as his televised matches. The kettle has been boiling for a long time, from AEW sending home personnel with whom he doesn't get along with, from Collision tapings, to keeping him far away from the elite. The most recent woe featured Punk's questionably worded promo about Hangman Adam Page after the August 12th episode of Collision ended, though Punk is said to have apologized for that, apparently adding that the issues Punk has already faced. Fightful Select reports that he and Jack Perry had a backstage disagreement over a planned spot that the FTW champion wanted to do. Speaking of Perry, it happened near the start of Punk's run on Collision. Perry came to Collision to film a segment where he wanted to use real glass for a backstage segment. Punk thought that Perry wanted to do this so he wouldn't have to come to work the next week, which he saw as a big problem for the company. Punk's side of the story also indicated that Perry disregarded production, doctors, and Tony Schiavone's advice not to do the spot since breaking real glass was a safety hazard. Consequently, guidelines were put in place after this for spots that required clearance. Punk reportedly stepped in to calmly tell everyone that Collision doesn't do this and that Perry could stay on Wednesdays if he didn't like it. Word spread that referred to this as an argument and that Perry had thrown a temper tantrum over the spot not being cleared. Fightful Select added that it is unknown how the situation ended, but several people had sided with Punk. Punk-related activities backstage have seemingly escalated since this conflict. Despite this, Perry's incident appears to be more than about safety than anything else, which on the surface is beneficial for protecting everyone's health and well-being. However, AEW All-In and AEW All-Out in Chicago are approaching, and the stories around Punk are not slowing down. If more of these incidents occurs, it begs the question of if or when the bubble will burst as it did at All Out 2022. According to ESPN earlier today in an article by Mark Ramanati, AEW All Elite Wrestling on Saturday announced that it has fired top star CM Punk with cause after AEW investigated an incident that occurred during its All In pay-per-view show last Sunday at Wembley Stadium in London. Punk and fellow AEW wrestler Jack Perry, the son of late actor Luke Perry, reportedly got into a physical altercation backstage during the pay-per-view event. AEW's statement, which it was issued on X, formerly Twitter, said Punk's wrestling and employment contracts have both been terminated. Following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met, later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to AEW owner Tony Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause. AEW's statement reads, KAHN, AEW CEO and General Manager and Head of Creative, said in an accompanying statement that he wishes he didn't have to share this news, but the decision is in the best interest of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week. AEW is scheduled to have a pay-per-view All Out on Sunday at the United Center in Chicago, the day after its weekly Saturday Collision television show in the same building. Punk, whose real name Phil Brooks, is a Chicago native and major star in the city. Phil played an important role in AEW, and I thank him for his contributions, Khan said in his statement. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause is ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, CM Punk posted a couple posts, it appears, on Facebook. One of them, him flipping off the camera, and another saying goodbye AEW, which, as far as I can tell, have been removed. I don't know who, what, when, where, or why, but I can no longer find them. Let's get a few things straight, guys. It's known that CM Punk and the Elite had problems. And apparently CM Punk and Jack Perry have problems that came to a head at AEW All In Wembley. With that being said, I get it. What happened between Punk and Perry was one of those things, and it has been reported that Punk, after the altercation, may have lunged at Tony Khan and screaming that he quit. Guys, I'm a huge CM Punk fan, and I like his work. However, it's becoming such a problem, maybe parting of company is the best option for both sides. Hopefully CM Punk can take this time to evaluate his situation and make a decision that best suits him and his potential career choices. Guys, it's sad. I hate to say this, but, I like him. I can't help but not like CM Punk. I mean, he is a tremendous wrestler. He has good promo, great worker. It just seems like there's little things that he's touchy about. I don't know if I don't know. I can't really say. It's hard to explain. But again, hopefully cooler heads will prevail in this, and who knows what happens down the road. Guys, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll play a look back with Mike trivia. Today's question: who was the first NWA United States Heavyweight Champion? If you'd like to submit a question for a look back with Mike trivia, send it to one of our social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. If it's social media, look for albwMike. I'll post a link somewhere through here. I don't know. But get in touch with me. We'll talk about it. I don't know. Oh, guys, like I said, I didn't plan on being over here tonight, and this CM Punk thing, I think it's finally blew up. It apparently is over. He has been released. He has been terminated. As sad as it is, I think that he brought something to AEW that was lacking. But there are things that supersede one person. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, so to speak. And with that, it's like this. I've liked wrestling ever since I was little. I remember, there have been times in wrestling where superstars and promoters have collided. Most notably, that I recall being Ric Flair and Jim Herd back in the early 90s, where Flair basically walked out of WCW with the belt, taking it with him to Connecticut, to the WWF. We all remember Bobby the Brain Heenan showing up with the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on the TV show. And to me, that was kind of crazy as a kid, that would happen. Of course, there are other instances along the way where promoter and top superstar disagreed. I just hopefully it all gets resolved out, and Punk gets him a little bit of a break out of this and is able to go back and look over things that he may want to do later on coming up in his career. But it's like I said, it's just something that has to be looked at and accomplished, and eventually worked out. Of course, everybody, don't forget September the 9th, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Ashland Mall location. Time Warp will be having Val Venus on hand to sign autographs, meet and greet the fans. On Saturday, September 30th at the OUC Shoemaker Center in Chillicothe, Ohio, World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling will have their Great Fall Bash 2, the Season of the Hitman. On hand for that are going to be Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Haku, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Kama Mustafa, Ted DiBiase, IRS, Matt Cardona, Paul Burchill, Nick Aldis, Suicide, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Brian Pillman Jr., Booker T was scheduled. I don't think he's going to be there. Bret the Hitman Hart, Mickey James, Boogeyman, Victoria, Larry Zbyszko, Austin Idol, Demolition Axe and Smash, Tommy Wildfire Rich, Jimmy Garvin, Ronnie Garvin, Tito Santana, Gangrel, Tully Blanchard, and of course, Bret the Hitman Hart will be on hand to sign autographs and meet and greet fans. As always, card is subject to change on those, so keep up with the website. I'll put it in the comments for the latest lineup for that card. Coming up on October the 7th at the Boyd County Community Center, Time Warp, along with ACW Wrestling and FTC Wrestling, The Art of Grappling, will have their Bluegrass Wrestling Convention number 5. Come out and see the stars that will be on hand to sign autographs and meet and greet the fans. Facade, Danny Moe, Suicide, The Grappling Inc., Axe and Smash of Demolition will be on hand for that one. The Powers of Pain, the Barbarian and Warlord, Mr. Hughes will be there. Moose will be on hand. Tommy Wildfire, Rich, Shane Douglas, Jimmy Hart, Mark Henry, Ron Simmons, and hopefully, my fingers are crossed up on this one, Jerry the King Lawler will be there to sign autographs, meet and greet the fans, and that will be a great show, great get-together. So come out to the Boyd County Community Center on October 7th, starting at 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Bell time for the wrestling matches afterwards will be at 4 o'clock. Of course, that being brought to you by Time Warp and their partners. On October 14th at the Madison Civic Center, ASW Halloween Mayhem will take place. You know, guys, Gary Dameron does such a great job promoting those shows. I look forward to that one. I will actually try my best to be there because his guest for that evening, none other than legendary referee Earl Hebner. So that's going to be a good show. Come out, see all the stars of All-Star Wrestling West Virginia and the guests that Gary is bringing in. Whew. Lordy, lordy, lordy. I know I am going to have to do some major digging for a new show coming up. But I enjoy sitting down talking to you fine folks again. I thank you all for taking your time out to listen to me, go on, complain, gripe, bellyache, talk to you all. And like I said, it's the reason I love professional wrestling. I started watching wrestling in 1987, somewhere around that area. I was probably, I was born in 81, 87. I was 6 years old. Puts it right about the right time. I grew up, majorly what I saw was Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA, WCW. You call it WWF for now and then. But I grew up watching Ric Flair, Ronnie Garvin, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, Lex Luger, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Baby Doll, the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, the Fantastics, the Mulkeys. Just the list goes on and on and on. And those were some great times in wrestling, and it is so sad that we have gotten so far away from professional wrestling as the way it was, because it was the way that worked. That's why it was so good. It was a story that was told and people believed. We've lost that. We have sadly, truly lost that. But, all right, guys. Here is your Look Back with Mike trivia question answer. The question today, who was the first ever NWA United States champion? The answer to that question, Handsome Harley Race. Harley Race defeated Johnny Weaver on January 1st, 1975 to capture the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship in a tournament foul in Tallahassee, Florida. Guys, again, if you have questions that you'd like to ask on Look Back with Mike, it's something you can get to us. That's going to wrap it up for me today. I thank you all for tuning into this. As always, like I said, if you have questions, we are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram. A Look Back with Mike is the handle. We'll put it right there. And like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend about us. Let's get the word out. Let's make this a happening place to be. And as always, thank you for dropping by for this edition of A Look Back. Without you, the listener, this opportunity would not be possible. And God bless you. Be safe in your travels. And until next time, so long from the Bluegrass State.